All right. Good evening, everybody. Let's see. Let's do a quick sound check. See if you guys can hear me. You guys are getting your tickets already. Check. See if you... Looks like it's coming through for me. Let's see if you guys can hear it. You can hear fine. Cool. That works. Awesome. So, how was everybody's weekend? I hope you guys had a good holiday weekend. Everybody was safe. It's funny. I was talking to one of my good friend of mine. He's like, yeah. I was like, you sound rough today. What happened? He's like, yeah, it was a holiday weekend. I partied a little bit too hard. I was like, oh yeah, drinking, doing a little Monday night drinking. He goes, no, this was on Thursday or Friday, and I'm still feeling it. I was like, oh, oops. So it's pretty funny. Um, yeah, we had. It was actually a kind of a long weekend. You guys know it was my birthday on Friday. Um, kind of a depressing one in some senses because not only did I get a year older, but then the cat passed away on Saturday, so we're dealing with that, and then my family was all in town, so it was literally like the drama-filled weekend. And then of course the baby on Monday night she sleeps with us, and I wake up and I'm like, my God, this thing's a heat rock, and I measured her, or like I took her temperature, and she was 103.9 on Monday. So needless to say, that was an interesting situation. And then of course she we had first day of school today, so literally the last 5 days have just been, well, I guess 4 days, not 5 days, have just been insane. And I really didn't even do that much drinking. Yesterday, I got to have steamed crabs. It's an East Coast thing if you guys aren't familiar with it. But my sister came in from Austin, so I think we ended up eating like 3 dozen crabs between the two of us. So I think I'm good for the next year on crabs as well. I was so full at the end. I was like, it's typically impossible to get full on crabs, but I think I was able to do it. Um, Man, whew, I was just like, okay, no more. I can't take any more. I was pretty full. So, yeah. So with that being said, let's look at the markets. Okay. If you guys are looking on the forex factor, you guys can see that in the last 24 hours, and again, it's kind of a weird reading. Again, with the markets closed yesterday, this is our typical Monday night. Obviously our, you know, not really having a lot to pull from. So looking at the last 24 hours, whoops, the link expired. Let me, whoops, let's refresh that, get that in there. You guys can see in the last 24 hours, we've had some movement in the euro. We've had some movement in the pound. And again, both of those are dollar weakness. And again, I'm sure you guys can figure out where the dollar weakness came up from with everything going on. A lot of the news now is, I guess, Trump is saying that China is trying to hold out and wait till the election. And I heard some interesting commentary back and forth on that today about how what? What? Basically saying that, people are like, well, no, they wouldn't want to do that because, some of the other candidates have already said that they're going to be tough. And, it's kind of the known versus the unknown, that it's just easier just to get it, taken care of now. So it'll be really interesting to see kind of how the whole thing plays out. Like I said, I've been saying since the beginning, I think this is more just like a political play than it is anything else. I didn't believe it was actually a real trade war, and I think both sides are really playing it against each other. Um, you know, I know they like to be, kind of say, oh, well, this one's in control and this one's in control. I don't think either side is actually in control. I think they're both just kind of doing it for political maneuvering, and that's about it. So, but that being said, we'll see. You guys can see that dollar Swiss actually went down as well. Again, that would be a CAD. I'm sorry, that would be a Swiss kind of strength, dollar weakness, and again, that kind of coincides with everything else we see. You can see the dollar CAD was pretty much flat, which is kind of interesting. Typically when you see this much movement in the dollar, you would also see it there. But again, it came in more or less as flat. And then again, obviously the Aussie dollar took off. I don't know if any of you guys took that one or not. That one actually bounced off of a pretty nice zone. Um, it was a zone that actually dialed it down into the 2 hour. I'll show you guys that one later. Um, as that one is coming across. So, and then again, Aussie yen also up a little bit, and then pound yen down 3. So really just absolutely no movement whatsoever, just kind of just blah, blah, blah. So again, not surprising. All right. As far as news goes, 9:30 tonight we have GDP in the Aussie. I think this is going to be a big deal. Again, it's one of those things, if you guys look at it, GDP is one of those numbers that, for the most part, they miss. Last time they were actually dead on, okay? So it'll be interesting to see this time if they're able to kind of do a repeat on that one. I don't know if they will or not, but I think we may have an option, the ability to do a bit of a retest tonight if we get a miss again, and we'll see how that goes. And then obviously Chinese news after that. Looking at tomorrow morning, so I think the CAD trade balance is actually going to be a pretty good setup, and there's a bunch of things kind of back to back to back tomorrow morning. If you guys are looking at it, again, at 8:30, we hit the CAD trade balance. Again, that would be a CAD yen play, most likely, but you could play with the CAD dollar, or dollar CAD, I guess. Then at 9:15, we have an inflations report hearing. Again, it's very rare that we see pound news this late in the day. Again, it's kind of the end of their day. But again, it's a red high impact news release for something that we haven't had a lot of, really, I mean, again, haven't really had a lot, Again, I don't know if you guys are watching it today or not, but you guys can see it over here. I'll click it for you guys to watch it. Boris Johnson loses a delay vote. Okay. Again, when you run your mouth a little bit, people will typically, I don't know, for lack of a better word, they're going to smack you, right? He ran his mouth, and I guess people didn't necessarily like it. So, yeah, I think the parliaments are just basically trying to self-destruct itself. Eventually, they're going to get tired, and I think eventually just the European Union will just eventually kick them out and be like, "All right, we're done. Get out. You guys can't decide anything, so just get out." So we'll see. I don't know. Like I said, I think it's going to be interesting, but it's one of those things. The markets are kind of like, I don't know. Are we going to leave? Are we not going to leave? We voted for it. We didn't vote for it. They're just entirely messed up. And again, the market, when it doesn't know, it doesn't do anything. So that'll be a bit interesting. But I think tomorrow that'll give us some concrete numbers. Again, something to trade off of. And then at 10, you'll see also we have the BOC rate statement tomorrow morning. It's not expected to kind of drop or anything, but everybody's talking about dropping. If the CAD did a surprise drop, it wouldn't really technically surprise anybody. Just because, again, people are dropping surprises left and right now with these rate drops. So if CAD did it, wouldn't be surprised. I mean, again, you don't want to be in the situation where you're the only one not doing it when everybody else is, because that does hurt you. So we'll see how that goes. And then the rest of it for the day, Bullard, Evans, I don't think that's a big deal. And tomorrow night's trade balance, I don't think that's going to be anything earth-shattering. It's not going to really, for me, I'm not going to consider that anything high. But I do think that the CAD news tomorrow morning, the trade balance, the rate statement, and then again the inflation, I think will give us the opportunity to have some news trades tomorrow that we haven't really seen lately. So that would be nice. I'm looking forward to that. All right. So, and if you guys hear the dog barking suddenly, I do apologize. The wife actually has the baby out tonight at immediate care. We think that the fever is actually coming from just a bladder infection, but yeah. So it's going to be a fun evening, one way or the other. But she's out at the doctor, and of course the dog is, running wild through the house right now. So, I can hear the cat already making noises downstairs. So poor Great Dane is eating the second kitty. All right, so let's just dive in, guys. Let's start over here on Aussie yen. So one of the things we talk about with Aussie yen, and again, it is just not moving. If you guys were on Nitix this morning, excuse me, I really want this thing to start trending one way or the other. And unfortunately, although the Aussie is kind of providing some kind of movement, we're not really seeing a whole lot with the yen at all. Even with all the movement we had today in the, basically the indices, we really didn't get as much movement over in this pair as I thought we would get. We've been kind of bouncing back and forth, and you can see after we've had this kind of drop down and kind of pop back up again, we had this top little section right here, and again, we marked this off last week. There's really kind of this huge kind of extended range move to the downside, and we've just literally bounced back and forth. You can see we're holding pretty firm down here at the 71 level. Actually, I guess it's 71.10 is what's holding, and you can see topside at this point it's a 71.76. So haven't even really made it back up to that area, that the 71.90. So we'll kind of see. It's just not trending, right? Hopefully now that we are in September, we will get a bit more movement out of this one. So for me, there's really nothing on this pair set up. Tonight at 9:30, we may get some movement when we do see that news come through. So hopefully, that gives us enough to get this thing moving in one direction or other. Now, if you look at the Aussie New Zealand, this one had that kind of a little funky pullback as well. And again, I'm going to blame this on the holiday weekend in the U.S. You guys can see it. We had a little bit of a pullback, but the pullback was just really, really ugly. You can see that the bodies are very, very small, so it's basically all wicks. So is it really a great kind of pullback? Not really. I mean, if you look over here, it did go back to a level of basing. It did drop, but it really didn't leave the area. It's still stuck within that same kind of section. You guys can see where current price is now is basically below where the close was on Friday. Okay, so we've just really kind of gone back and forth a little bit. And again, no real news to move it tonight. Obviously, there will be news, and again, that will most likely bounce this pair, one way or the other. So we will see, if we can finally get the movement there. All right. And again, I think this pair will probably move a little bit easier than Aussie yen will. I think the yen is really just being stabilized and being controlled by what we have going on in the U.S. indices right now. So Let's see. Looking at Aussie dollar. Okay, so Aussie dollar did have a move, and this is the one I was talking about. So last time we had price over here, and again, this is one of those ones that you had to kind of dial in on. I actually started on the 4 hour, and when you look at the 4 hour, you guys can see we had this very, very fast move down and fast move back up again. Okay, it was almost instantaneous. 4 hours, 4 hour counter straight down, 4 hours straight back up again. So there was obviously something that stopped this. This was a very powerful move. So I went on the lower time frames and I was trying to see. I went to the 3 hour and I was like, it doesn't look that much different. Let me go down to a 2 hour. I said, okay, well there's just a wick at the bottom, and that's only 10 pips. That's not bad at all. I like that on a 2 hour or even a 4 hour. When you bring it back up to the 4 hour, you can see it's really the same thing. It's just a wick at the bottom. So I was like, okay. I'm like, that's not bad. Let me drop down to an hour. Okay, and I dropped it even lower. And when I said here, I said, look, it's the same exact wick. All right, so that must be legit, right? If we're looking at it on the 2 hour, 3 hour, and 4 hour, and it's all the same area, I'm okay with that one. All right. So, whoops, not that one. Where are we? Right there. So this is the one I primarily did on, and it was a 10 pip risk. Now I was looking for a target on this one as well, and I was looking back in here for any area where I could see some type of, like clear, like some clear line that hadn't been tested. This area hidden here had been all tested and eaten up. This was a double wick here that basically top and bottom is the same. I wasn't really concerned about it. We'd seen price already pull up and then rally base off of this, pull up and then collapse right off of this black line. Again, this area here was a retest, but last time price spiked, it dropped right away very fast. So this was actually what the target was on this one. It turned out to not be a bad trade at all. And you guys can see, right? It's let me change the color so it's not super confusing to everybody. There you go. So it was 10 for 64 at the end of the day. Actually, I got in a little bit late on that one. I got out there. Okay. Actually, on this spike over here. So I only got 60 out of it. I didn't get the full 64. I was off a little bit. I think on my entry or my exit, I must have typed something in wrong. But here's what it should have been. It should have been 10 for 65 on that one. And again, that would have started on a holiday, basically like super late on Monday, so it would have been like a last night type trade. And again, completed, right around here. Okay. Actually, I think, you know what? Maybe I actually had it. Maybe I screwed up on the top side. I may have taken it out down here a little bit lower, but I ended up getting 60 out of it total. I may have gotten it on the pullback and just been concerned that it was going to go lower. May have pulled it a little bit out early on there, but it is what it is. So again, don't hesitate to drop down your 4-hour chart, go down to the 3-hour, go down to the 2-hour. When you're seeing areas like that where you're looking for like an area that, will give you a good sign, don't hesitate to go lower. And again, when I went lower, I didn't really see much different. And that's kind of what made this interesting, was the fact that I didn't see anything different. It was the same exact wick, it was the same exact close, the same exact body on a 4-hour, a 3-hour, and a 2-hour. So I took it. Okay. And again, whenever you can find 10 pip risk on a 4-hour, that's not a bad trade setup at all. Don't ever hesitate to take those. I would never shy away from those things. That's always a good risk to reward ratio when you can set one of those up. Now look at pound Aussie. Let this load up. Okay, you can see pound Aussie, we had that target level right here. Okay, did we hit the target level? No. We missed that little target level. We had these green dots. We were talking about it retracing off this upper level at 183. And again, we've had some pullback. We had the collapse. We had the first target, the black line. We had a little bit of a pullback inside of this wick over wick. You guys can see the wick over wick that was sitting right here. Okay, it left, came back up, grabbed it, and that's when it shot down again. Although it didn't hit the full profit target. I didn't get into this one. This is one I actually missed the entry on. I had the one position, and I wasn't really necessarily... wasn't as loving in this one, even though it was a potential setup. But had to use the target of this level. Okay, this level was the start of this move. Actually, this one was drawn off here. We ended up not hitting it. Super, super close, but didn't hit. Uh-oh, things are beeping. I'm not sure what just beeped, but something beeped. And again, missed the profit target, came up and stabilized. If I was still in this trade at this point, I would probably be taking myself out. At this point, it's lost all momentum. It went up, it rallied back down again, pushed up, and now it's just basically, it's just flat for the last 8 hours. You can see even on the, hold on, let me bring this back to the 30-minute. I was doing a little bit too far to us. You guys can see there was the pop in, and it's really just stopped. Okay, really hasn't done too much since that time. Again, if you're stuck in this trade, again, this was from Tuesday, it just flat. Okay, so just be very, very cautious with it. Shark. Oh, you saw the shark? I didn't see it on mine. Man. Ryan, you always catch the shark. I did not catch the shark. but I heard a beep. The beep, I was kind of like, what's that? So again, not a whole lot on this one. And again, I think this is because the pound is really locking this pair down. With all this indecision we've had, we're leaving one way or the other. And then they said, no, we're not. And it's kind of like, okay, so what are we doing? Are we leaving? Are we not leaving? Nobody knows. And again, it's sucking this pair in. It's really kind of just making this a little bit more stagnant. So I am looking for some type of a move if we have a miss tonight on this one. But I do feel like this one is going to be drugged down because of, again, the indecision inside of the pound. Okay. I just think that's going to cause problems for a little while. But again, once we get that CAD news for the inflation report, I think that could give us the pop that we are looking for. All right. Jumping across the euro pound. So euro pound is a pair that I've been looking at like a hawk at this point. I'm watching this thing left and right about what's going to happen. Is the euro going to hit a recession first? Is the pound going to give us something? Is the euro going to kick him out? I want to know what's going on. So as you guys can see, we had quite a large pop in this one, right? Impulse, nice correction move. Impulse went all the way up. And again, it blew this little wick over wick out, which again, we expected because this went all the way to the very, very tip right here, right? This went to the last little tiny bit, which means it's basically wiped out the zone. Because it went so high, right? Oops, not that one. If I wanted to move this across, right, you'd be like, yep, it hit. I'd have to bring it all the way up into here, and you can see it's basically the same top. So it's already been wiped out. So no surprise in that one that this one got taken out. When we go back up to the next level, you guys can see, I'll move this over, okay? Here is the next zone that you're looking at, okay? And again, that's exactly what we went ahead and push back down again. So a nice little, again, this was a failure to go lower, hit it, launched it up, went to the top, came back down again, and then was able to drop. Again, two different ways to trade this. I didn't trade this one. You could have traded this to the bottom up to here, which is 75 pips, right? Or you could have traded the flip on the downside from here back down. And again, the initial bar was 90, and we're sitting at about 65 right now. Okay, so good trade top or bottom. Either way you took this one. Little bit harder in this one just for, and again, if you wanted to take it off this bottom level, you could have taken off of here. If you were taking off to this zone, okay? Problem with this one, again, there was no trend signal. So if you're focusing on just on the daily of saying, what is it? Is it an uptrend, downtrend? Do we have a setup? It would have been a little bit harder to do because you can see right now, yes, when the green was pushing up, this red is engulfed. Okay, this green is just slightly outside, but it's basically engulfed. I mean, it's more or less there. The prior green is engulfed, and again, finally the red was out. So it is officially in sideways movement. So it would have been very, very hard. You would have had to trade it off to 4 hours. And again, this is the fresh. This is the fresh. Not fresh. It was already been wiped out, and nothing clean in here. So it's really this kind of this trending kind of going back and forth. So it was kind of a quick trade. This is kind of what I was expecting. This is what Brexit did first time. Whenever we had Brexit news, this is what we had, and that's what we're looking at. It would literally spike up one day, turn around, spike back the next day, but it stayed inside of the same channel. And again, that's always good when we're respecting this. So I do believe that the top and bottom of this are still pretty valid at this point. Obviously, I think news can probably blow through it, but for the most part, I think we still have valid entries from the bottom here and the top. And the risk on both sides really isn't bad. If you look on the top side, you're talking about 16 pips, and then the downside one was about 13 pips. So not a lot of risk in this trade whatsoever, and you're talking about 75 and a 60 in either direction. So nice little setups. Okay. Oops, sorry about that one. Going across, and again, one of the things you guys hear me mention all the time is you'll hear me mention level on level. I wouldn't say level on level. Level on level will be when there's two in a row, and there's not really two in a row here. I'll use this pair again to determine whether or not we have a strong euro or a weak pound or vice versa. And honestly, right now, you really can't tell. Like I said, you've had the pound pulling back, but at this point being stabilized, there's not really much to draw from this. Okay, and that's just we're gonna have to deal with it, unfortunately. Excuse me. So with that being said, let's jump into euro pound or euro yen. So euro yen is one of these pairs that it's like, talk about the retest down, right? So this is what we're dealing with, right? We had this kind of nice movement down. It's like, okay, this is good. We're starting to grind lower. Right on the 4 hour, you can see it. It's a lot of small candles. Nothing really that looks great. And then what happened is it pulled back, and it just basically stopped on us. I am glad that we have cleared the blue area. Okay, the blue area is officially done. We are out the other side. Unfortunately, it didn't give us any type of explosion out of there. Okay. This is pretty ugly as far as a leave. I mean, typically when you see this, you're looking for a nice kind of blowout area, some type of news to step in and something that burst out. It didn't do that. It just kind of went a little bit lower and kind of just was like, not too bad. Again, you guys can see the gap area up there. We talked about that. Actually, I guess we didn't talk about that. Here's the gap that we mentioned from Friday, right? And then again, this is what you're dealing with. We just kind of, briefly grazed off of it. Oh, I probably did this with Nadex, not with you guys. So again, gap play. This was in the direction of the, in the direction. It ended up hitting and coming up. And again, here's the line, guys. Remember this line? You guys remember this? What did I say I was looking for inside of this area? Right? Down through, back up, push through. Down, up, down. You guys see it? I can move the pieces across if you guys really want it. But again, that's what we were talking about. Breaking this level, coming up and retesting, and then again, it shot through the bottom. Is it the most beautiful trade? No. Did it move tons? No. But again, it gave us the the setup of what we thought we would run into. But again, there's my Harry Potter picture. There's the up, up, down. And again, kind of went over to retest that gap zone. So yeah. Nothing beautiful, unfortunately. But again, it's moved a little bit. I don't like how it pulled back. I'm not super happy that it pulled back in this zone. I was hoping for much more of or an extended run now that it got out, or just a fast base and a collapse, not a retest base. I mean, again, we're looking at a green, red, green here, somewhat of a reversal on the 4 hour, which, again, not my favorite situation. Okay. Trying to think if there's anything I'd really. I mean, looking at this on the 4 hour, I don't really even like this zone, how it came out, because it didn't do it very fast. Typically, I like to see, again, like I said, the explosive movement, and we just don't have it here. So going into the euro dollar. So we did see a little bit of life in the euro dollar today. Obviously, this one was up just a little bit. Not nothing super gigantic or huge. And you can see it did kind of something similar. It just retraced back up again into an area of, again, supply, right? You can see this basing. Now, this one had a little bit of a gap up, and then again, continuation. So this one gapped in the opposite direction of the trend. And again, had you taken this one, you may have gotten stopped out, because our normal gap strategy is if it gaps on the other side, okay, we typically are using that as a reversal area. And again, it didn't reverse. This one ended up gapping higher and then continuing down. So this kind of gave us a little bit of a fake out. It worked in the euro yen, but in the euro dollar, not so much. Oh, hold on. Wife just messaged me. Okay, so the baby does not have a bladder infection, just 103 fever just because. Lovely. That's going to be a fun night. All right, so where we are in this one, again, we do have a downtrend setup, right? This red is definitely outside of the green. Okay, if you go across, we're definitely hitting the top before we hit the bottom. We do have a pullback. We do have this gap area, and again, it would have been nice if it was down here. We could have used the gap as the fill for this to entry to the downside, but we just don't have it. It's just not there. It's not nice. Actually, Ernest, she is getting two. So she had 4 upper teeth and her 2 middle bottoms, but the difference now is what they're saying is anything above 101 isn't teeth, because that's the first thing I thought too. I'm like, well, the girl's she's never gotten just a single tooth. She always gets like basically 2 teeth at the same time. And unfortunately, that's what happened here too. She's getting both, not the center 2. She has those 2. It's the other 2, right on the other side. So at least she'll have the front 8 teeth. But yeah, the temperature was too high for her for teeth supposedly, allegedly. But I don't know. That's what the doctor said. So as I was saying on this one, had this been a lower gap, if we didn't have this gap above, I would have loved this thing for a short, especially the way that Friday candle that we had. If we had gapped down, I would have been all over shorting this position. Because it gapped higher, again, it kind of invalidated that for me. It is now pushed, again, higher. You guys can see it. But if you're looking for good areas where it could fall away from, there's not really a whole lot here until we get up to 110.40, right? This little pop here, look at this. This level of basing here on the 30-minute, and then drop down, that's probably the best area we have looking for this one. And again, it's got to move a little bit. We're talking about price going up. What are we talking here? 77 all the way up, about 30 pips, right? It needs to move a bit before we can get into an area that's easy to find. Carl had a great setup today. Very, very similar, right? Big spike down. He took it when it got back up again. So again, do you want to force it in an area here where it did nothing over a holiday weekend? Probably not the best idea, right? Wait till it gets to a good area that's very, very easy to see, which again would be this upper area here. Okay, that's what I would be looking for. Going across the Euro Aussie, and again, let's see. Euro Aussie is in 5 minutes. Okay. Um, Big push down, right? For 12 hours, it's done nothing, but we had this nice push down here, right? So again, our candle is still red, the daily candle. Again, nice push off this base, right? For 12 hours, though, it hasn't done anything. Okay, you guys can see that one. I love this. I was like, yes, give me a nice little pullback and continue to collapse. Now, one thing I would be cautious with on the daily, look at this area here. We had this really nice, I wouldn't say it's not beautiful. This is nice. This is a nice little pullback, though. Okay, so we are having to watch for this area right here, which is at 161.87. Okay, it's about 30 pips from where we are right now. Okay, to the downside. We're already seeing basing right now. Again, you guys can see it. Let me bring this back up to the 30-minute. I apologize for that. I was doing some analysis and doing some charts earlier. You guys can see nice movement and then just stopped. Okay, so we had all this basing over the holiday weekend. Nice movement today, right about 11:30. It stopped and it hasn't done anything since, and just given us a little bit of a pullback. So I feel like it got a little bit exhausted. Again, I think news will bump this a little bit if it's a miss. We'll find out in minutes on that one. If we hit refresh, it'll probably be close. Yeah, we'll see. So I think that will give us a bit. For me, if we can get back up to this 163.40 area, back up in here, I would be considering a short. Something that pulls us back, grabs more orders at this down, kind of sideways and down area, this basing level. That wouldn't be a bad grab. You guys can see it spent a lot of time basing there, but again, that was where it ended on Friday, and it really didn't do much until traders stepped back in until late last night. So I feel like that wouldn't be a bad area to take the short to continue this back down again, especially if it pulls up to make an attempt at this kind of pullback zone here. So, or this basing level. So that's kind of what I'm looking for on this one. It's not my favorite position right now, but it is one that I am definitely looking to go short from this area. And again, it's not a Nadex pair, but this would be something I would be, if it was, I would be taking that one in Nadex. Now, look at the pound dollar or the pound yen. Okay, the pound yen is just blah. It's just ugly. Again, I hate this. The fact that we had this nice spike down, we hit this green target level, right? This was on the daily. We'd marked this off. If we hit, the short was here, there was the eventual profit target, right? This was the one down here that we talked about last week. We hit it, right? And then it literally turned over. It hit this little trap here, went back up, and is now at a basing level. So it's pretty, again, we took our money, got out, and it continued to move. If anybody had gotten short from last week, again, you had two entries. You could have taken the entry here. You could have taken this entry here, and again, just wrote it down. Here's the weekend. So this is the one that I was talking about earlier. Okay, I didn't have it drawn here. Okay, here is your Friday gap. Okay, what did it do? It gapped in the direction of the trend. It went up, it hit the gap area, and then continued to push down and hit our full profit target. Let me put the right colors on this one for you guys, right? There was the profit target that we talked about. And here was the Friday gap candle. Actually, you know what? Let me draw it from the other way. Go from bottom up. There was the gap. It's going to be there, but I was just trying to get it to where you can see it. Hold on. There we go. Change that to red. Make this look a little bit prettier, but that's what we're looking for. Okay. Now again, 23 pips. Is that a lot for this pair? It's less than 1/4 of its daily ATR. You may not have wanted to take 25, but it didn't really stay there too long. You could have taken this as it came out of the area. You guys can see here, it really wasn't. And again, we could make it smaller. I mean, here, I'll make it smaller for you guys if you don't like the 25. You could have taken this and shortened it to just the 30-minute gap candle, and that lowers your risk to 16. Okay. And then you guys can see it came all the way down. It actually broke below. But again, can't be greedy on that one. But this was an ideal setup, right? Trend down, gap in the direction of the trend, came back, retested the zone, and then collapsed down to the original profit target that we had talked about, which was established back here at 127.25. Okay? Where we are now, so it pulled back, okay? Where we are now, I don't know that I'm willing to take this one short. In any other situation, the fact that it pulled back to a level on the 4-hour where we do have basing, I would be very interested in taking this for another short. The problem with this one is what it bounced off of, what turned it. Okay, so we put our profit target. Let's go back and analyze this zone real fast. Okay, we put our profit target here. Actually, the target would have been there. I'm sorry. We'll adjust this. Okay, it was 192. 16 for 192. So you guys can see it did spike down, right? It spiked down to, on the low side, let's see. What are we at here? 126.76. And again, you guys can see that's right in here. Okay, so I'll draw, there's the distal line. Okay, there's the bottom, right? You guys can see it right there. It's hard to tell because of this. I'll just move it out of the way so you can see it. You guys see it there? That's where it spiked down to. So the fact that it bounced off of a daily zone is typically the reason why I would consider that somewhat of a trend reversal, not necessarily something I'm going to jump back into. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If that wasn't there, then yes, I would have been definitely looking to short this a little bit more. But again, trying to short it into, again, you don't ever want to short it into an area of buyers, and we saw that, and that's what caused this bounce. So not something you necessarily, it's not stacking the odds in your favor trying to take that first short a second time, okay, if that makes sense. So again, I'll move that all the way across. That one should go all the way up. Here we go. Peak 5 on the Aussie news. The news just now. On this, you got it to move that much on a forecast hit. Let's see what we got here. Oh, on this, and this is a 10-minute chart. So you're talking about. You're talking. I mean, it's still moving. You're talking about 15 pips. There you go. It's moving a bit now. Oh, 3 lots. Okay. Yeah. So if you got 3 lots. Yeah, it moved 10 pips. So yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Now again, I wouldn't hold this too much longer because look what we're running into. Okay, you're starting to run into an area in the 4-hour as well as the daily of where we're looking to turn and flip this. Yeah, I got scared. Yeah, I mean 350. I mean take it and run. You know, you don't have to hold it. And again, what should you be looking for? Areas where we've seen previous buyers and sellers, and we've seen previous sellers here. I mean, could it blow through the top? Absolutely. It absolutely could launch itself through the top. But again, why force this when we already know that there's areas of sellers up here, right? I mean, again, it's moved 15 pips. The news release at this point, if it's starting to hold right now, you know, again, it came in as forecast, so you're not going to expect a lot, you know, too much movement out of it because it came in exactly as forecasted. Okay. Hot potato, right? Yep. Yeah, we'll see what it does. I mean, it looks like it's pushing up just a little bit. Again, it's got a little bit further. It's kind of right in that zone now. We'll see where the orders kick in. But again, so that's why I don't necessarily like this one. Let's go across to pound dollar. Have this load up for us. Come on. So you can see pound dollar. Okay, the ATR, this one is back up to 88. So pretty excited about that. So as you guys can see, we drew this bottom level here, and price had a pretty good entry into it. It broke through just a little tiny bit to the other side before popping back up again. Now, unlike the pound yen, this one actually went above its level of basing. Again, sometimes you miss these. It went through and then ended up popping. And again, the analysis can be off slightly. And again, it did. So would I be looking to short when I got to this zone? Absolutely not. Because again, this was a level in the daily. It came down fast, fast descent, hit fast, boom, popped out the top side. So big question is now, will we be able to get through this zone up top? Okay, so I'm going to remove this. If you got into any type of long, that would be kind of where you're looking to go. This is an area we got to watch out for. Okay, why? Well, there's a lot of movement. Look at this. This is definitely an extended range candle. Okay, so we need to make it a little bit more clear. Get rid of some of those things over there. Okay, this very easy to see, right? Large extended range candle, basing before it, kind of dropped, a little bit of a gap in area. This is very small too. The risk in something like this is about 19 pips, 18, 17 pips, and we most likely can kind of tone that down a bit more too. All right. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking for in this one. Probably if we get up into this area. And guys, that's up at 121.56 is where I'd be looking to kind of take that for a flip. Now, you could definitely trade this with an 8x pair. If we can get up to this zone, okay, for this report, I'd be extremely excited. I'd be very, very happy if we were up here. And again, we're talking about moving about 50 pips from now till then. Okay, remember, that's not till 9:15, so we're talking about almost 12 hours away, right? If it can move 50 pips in 12 hours, we're getting real close. Now, if it bases, again, the alternative is if it doesn't get up there and it floats around in here and messes around, if we get a pop with news, then yes, we'd be looking to take this short, and vice versa, we'd be looking for something on the bottom side as well. But most likely, if it doesn't go to there, we can see a spike up and then take it to the downside. So that's one way I could potentially play this for news tomorrow. Okay. Looking at pound New Zealand. I've been drinking so much water today. I had so much Old Bay seasoning yesterday. I don't even want to know how much sodium I drank or ended up ingesting. It was good. I'm not regretting it. But wait a second. Oh, speaking of that, I don't know if you guys follow Ernest, and I'm all about propping you guys up. Did any of you guys see Ernest made and posted a funnel cake hamburger? He's all like healthy eating, and then what does he do? Labor Day weekend, he drops a funnel cake hamburger on us. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, seriously? And you'll notice he didn't tag, hashtag keto in that one. But I was like, a funnel cake? I'm like, come on. I was just totally blown away. Funnel cake hamburger. Couldn't believe that I saw that. I was like, what is going on? Yeah, I was totally blown away. With that being said, didn't look at this pair. Wasn't following it when I saw this kind of pull back in here, kind of bouncing back and forth. I'm really waiting for it to get down to a zone, something that I like a little bit more. Didn't make it up to this basing. I do like this level though. I do really enjoy this again, descending wicks, nice explosive movement off of it. And again, I'm looking still to the downside into this area over here. Okay, this is the last time we really saw a nice movement to the top side. It did get pushed. I didn't. I'm telling you guys, he drops this, Ernest, post a picture in Discord for me, please, of the funnel cake hamburger, because they're not going to believe me unless they see a picture of it. Yeah, every now and then I let loose. Yeah, I mean, Mister, like, I don't eat carbs, and then drops a funnel cake. I'm like, funnel cake, man, what? Yeah, do me a favor, drop a picture of that in Discord. Yeah, drop it over there so these guys don't think that I'm crazy. But I don't really see anything else that I love. Again, we turned from this top area. It was a very sloppy turn. Again, we had those levels drawn off. We went above, went below, and kind of, went back and forth. Just didn't like this one at all. It just was too sloppy for me. And again, I think, as I mentioned before, I think the pound is really, really holding this pair back. I just don't think there's anything really beneficial for this trade right now. So, not going to keep it. We'll move on. Okay. Going into the New Zealand dollar. Everybody's jumping across the Discord now. I'll be like, Ernest did what? I'm telling you guys, never seen that. It's the first time I've ever seen a funnel cake hamburger. Okay. Now, New Zealand has definitely taken a pop today. Okay. This is a nice little rally. We had a green, red, green reversal. And again, you can see on the 4 hour, this thing has finally put some work in. I mean, look, this was just chopping, grinding. And look what we got here. From the base, you're talking about a 74 pip run. And this pair only has a daily ATR of about 44. So it's basically today, it's done double what its ATR is, which is absolutely just amazing, right? I just couldn't believe that this thing had moved this much. It didn't get into this position, didn't see it, but was just totally blown away when I finally saw it. So that's what I'm talking about, bacon. Exactly, right? I love this, though. I think this is great. We're starting to have somewhat of a trend reversal. All these small candles, it's nice to finally start getting something a little bit bigger. So this one also had a situation right here where you had this gap, right? It was filled last week. This week's gap, though, right, would have been here. Okay, you guys can see no real gap play, per se. Okay, so didn't really get much. But with this pushing up, we're also getting a clear area. So what it's doing is it's starting to form kind of targets for us, places that we can end up using as either a target or an exit. So I want it to keep going. I'd be happy if we can get back up into this 64 range. Again, it's got about 60 pips before we can do it. I expect there's a little bit of a retest, but again, we have a single wick against the wall here we can watch out for, and we have this other little area down here at 63. So definitely much more of a fan now than I was before this one. I like it. We're finally putting some zones in. I like that it's eating up a lot of this chop. Okay. I'm very excited about that. This one was just chopping too much. And again, it took forever from this zone to go down. I like it. Okay. I love to see it a little bit more. If we can get a little bit more of a push throughout today. Again, I'm all about this dollar weakness in this trade. Make this thing, go higher and give us a clean entry. Okay. Right now, I wanted to go a bit higher. We are in a little bit of a zone here. The next clean one we really have is really up here at 63.80, but it's got a bit to run before we do that. And again, a little bit of chop it's got to get through still. But keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. Go to the top side. I'm looking to get in on that one. All right. Now, going over to dollar Swiss, you guys can see dollar Swiss actually was the big mover again. It was just behind the Aussie again. And again, the Aussie yen, these two just moved, obviously. We just saw that. Let's see how much farther is it going. Come on, you can load. Yeah. So it's already starting to stop and kind of flip and turn. Again, it's running into that zone to kind of flip to the downside. So, James, I think you did good taking your 10 out of that one. Or 10, 12, whatever you grabbed out of it. That's probably pretty smart. Okay, we may pull back a bit and go maybe attempt to go higher, but again, that's a nice grab for a news release when you're in and out and nothing. He's got the picture up so you guys can see it. Yeah, I don't have the Discord window up right now. But yeah. So you're good on that one. So looking at dollar Swiss. Okay, dollar Swiss is something. Yeah, in seconds. Yeah, I mean that's news trading. I mean that's welcome to news trading. That's exactly how I like to do it. Oh, I can hear the baby downstairs. She must be back. So, all right. So again, you guys can see a huge candle to the downside. Okay, this is something we've been talking about, waiting for this to turn and flip. Got a bunch of different lines here. Let me clear some of these lines off. I'm not exactly sure why we had all of them there, but all right. So you guys can see really not a lot here. Let's see. Did we have something that we ran into? Let's see. Oh, it's probably that's an old one. We'll take that out. See, is that what we bounced off of? Come on. That one, just above that one. Okay, so again, that was a little bit of a bounce through this zone to the top side. And again, it has now turned, flipped, and gone to the downside. Now, again, the reason you're seeing this is because all the comments going back and forth again. This is a geopolitical-based pair. There really is no fundamentals on this one, more so than who said what and is there uncertainty. Uncertainty is the name of the game on this one. Now, it's a different type of uncertainty. Typically, this pair will react more to invasions or missiles or nuclear tests, but this pair does have there is some kind of carryover with the whole Chinese and Hong Kong thing. That's probably putting a little bit of pressure on this as well as the comments that have gone back and forth. Is it tradable though? Not necessarily tradable yet. There's not a whole lot there. Now, areas that I am looking for in this one, obviously on the daily, I do like this. 3 greens up, nice little base, not really too much, and then very explosive candle to the top side. I like this. I like the fact that we have this kind of very strong push to the downside. Now, we do have a level break here. We do have a level break here. Okay, you guys can see we have 2 and we're at a level basing. So really, if this base is much more, and again, this could be a momentum trade. I don't know why this one window is not letting me. Let me see if I can reset it. Hold on real quick. There we go. Okay, here's that level of basing, right? If we can clear the bottom, look for, again, one of those Harry Potter things. Down, up, back down again, and take this one down to probably into this right in here. Look at something along these lines. If we get the correct entry, you're talking about 50 pips, right? It would be there. Yeah, you're looking at just about 50 pips below that zone. But make sure you get a type of clear to the bottom side. Have it clear, then come back and touch this level of basing if you're going to take that for a momentum piece. I think that's not a bad little trade setup. All right. Again, I don't trade this pair often. It just takes a long time in a lot of cases, but these spikes are pretty nice. Okay. Looking at dollar CAD. Now, dollar CAD. Hold on one sec. Baby's okay. Dollar CAD's only moved -8 in the last 24 hours. So you guys can see the problem with this one is we've been getting real choppy back and forth. We did finally break out of this zone. I'd mentioned this before that we had kind of a topside soft target, topside soft target. Wanted to get a bit higher before we got short in there, and you guys can see we did. We entered that trade about 7 a.m. this morning. We ended up going up and hitting this daily zone, right? This was the channel that was established prematurely, but there was the pop, right? It did go up, it did hit. Now again, risk is bigger because it is a daily zone, okay? And even if you look on the 4-hour, you guys can see a little difficult here, right? We had a bit of a basing here, bit of the piece up top. So again, level on top of a level. But you can see we ended up hitting this first level of basing. And I'll bring it across. And that's all we hit. That's all it took. Here, I'll block it off so you guys can see it. I'll take this, put that there, that there. And you guys see what we hit? Right in there. Okay. So again, not very big risk, about 15 pips. And it's come down, what? About almost 50 at this point. We're about 45-ish pips to the downside. So again, we're already 3-to-1 risk to reward ratio on it. I raised a question in the forex chat about that. When it falls below that basing level, you want to burst below it or flutter down. Hold on, let me jump back. Are you talking about this? I want it to look like this. I want it to come down into here somewhere and be clear of the area, then come up and test, and then I'm looking for this. That's what I'm looking for. Does that make sense, Ryan? I want it to actually clear the area. Remember, it's a momentum breakout trade. So unfortunately, if the first candle does this, it's too late. It doesn't work that way. It's got to be like a clear breakout, but nothing, you know. Typically, it's gonna push through a little bit. It's not gonna be like a enormous kind of breakout. Hopefully that makes sense. I got 24 pips times 3 on that one. On this one, dollar CAD, James. Is that the one you got on them? Is that where you got it? Yeah, dollar CAD. Okay, good. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, we talked about that level. You could have taken the bottom one if it was an intraday, then again, on the small side. Okay, that's what I was wondering. How strong it clears. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't have to be like a huge extended range candle when it leaves. What it has to be is it's got to clear the area. Okay. That clearing, I mean, again, am I talking about 5 pips? The answer is it depends. Okay. It depends. It needs to clear and be out of the area, but then not too far where it can come back and do the retest. It does. Just didn't know if you were looking for. No, I'm not looking for explosive movement out. Typically, if it explodes, it's too far. You're not going to catch it. Is what the problem is. Okay, that's where it gets a little bit more difficult. Okay. Yeah, James, that was a good grab off the 4-hour. Like I said, this pair has been really kind of chopping back and forth. If you were able to grab that, that's great job on that one. Definitely proud of you on that one. As far as right now, that zone, the bottom level of this has been kind of eaten up. It went to the very, very top. So as we mentioned before, although it was a daily zone, I would probably move this zone up into this area now and kind of shrink it a little bit. Okay, now again, it is a retest of another level. You guys can see there's another little level here right above it. But I'd probably shrink it to that point now and maybe take the same situation, the same type trade. I wouldn't. I don't know that it's going to be as explosive as a move, but again, with news, anything is possible, right? Get those fast pumps, and then the retrace is quick on them. But again, small 4-hour zone. This is a good grab. It's retraced back again, and hence why it's done absolutely nothing. So, yeah, that's where it gets boring. Let me get this, wah wah wah. Just go straight back. I hate these retraces. It drives me nuts. It's like go back to like just the straight trending markets. Everybody loves trending. Why can't you just keep trending? Go over to dollar yen. All right, so dollar yen. Okay, this one is a little bit weird. Again, if you look at the candle on the daily, okay, this one gave us a kind of a opposite, right? we had a gap in the opposite direction of the current trend, which typically is for us a point that we're looking to get in. Now, this one kind of did a fake out. It did go a bit above. If you look on the 4 hour, it ended up rallying above, hit this single wick against the wall zone, and that's what it used. It didn't use the gap. It basically was just like, hey, there's no gap here. It ignored the gap completely, which, again, a little bit weird, right? And now it's just stopped. Okay. It's pushed across. This is a hard one. Again, I'm all about the gap play. And again, 2 or 3 of the gaps kind of got funky this week. Thank God the risk reward ratios were there. But this is a small zone followed by a lot of sellers right above it. Okay. Again, single wick against the wall in a very bearish candle like this. Great selling point, right? Another basing. So it's literally like a level gap. So a little bit harder to kind of snag this one. Now, what has it done? Not too much. I mean, if you connected this gap and basically said, okay, there's no such thing as a gap, I'm going to draw the big candle, we are technically in a sideways market, right? This green is completely engulfed. It is sideways with a downward bias confirmed because it is lower than the anchor. So it does tell us that, hey, listen, it is a little bit more bearish biased, but can you really tell that? You know, what have we seen in here? We've seen some basing here. We've seen some popping over here. Really, at this point, looking at the 4 hour, we got nothing clear until down here. Right, this is the first time we see anything that's really clean. To the top side, this zone is still probably good. We only ended about 30% of the way in. But besides that, I don't really like anything in here. You know, I mean, this is it's not a bad level. It's okay, but it's been chopped through, so not there. This base here is what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 candles. Spent a lot of time there. There's a single wick over here, right? We had this wick over wick, but we have the single wick right here. That's not a horrible area, right? Down at 105.65 down to 105.50. It's not bad. You know, it's not, I don't love it, but it's not horrible, right? As a potential, you know. Trying to think, I just really don't like anything. The movement in this pair is just so kind of just slow right now. Again, we've literally been stuck in this kind of backward chopping. And again, we didn't go as high, but we went lower. So there's kind of a trend there, but there's also kind of not a trend. Okay. So really, I just don't love it. So I've been move on. Going over to CAD Swiss. Now, CAD Swiss, again, the Swiss pair definitely had some, had some strength coming back into it. And again, we know why. Okay. You know, it could be the US data. It could be the Hong Kong data. There's a lot of different things that it could be. But again, it brought some strength back. This one, I'm looking for entries down, most likely in this area. Probably at the start. You know, we've talked about this before, but over here in the 73, what is it? 73.67 area. That's kind of what we're looking for potential areas to get long. Okay. That's the last time we had a nice little pop. I know there's a single wick here, but I wanted to come a little bit lower. We'll see if it can grind its way down, and then I'll be looking for entries down here to the downside. Okay. All right. So, CAD yen, totally engulfed, right? This green is just basically almost non-existent. We've been a little bit of red. It's been grinding. It went a little bit lower. We had kind of a profit target set over here. You guys will see the green dotted line is where we were looking. It's really kind of it's literally just bounced on that line, came up, came over, and it's just really, really stuck. And that line is right at 79.35. Not much you can do with it, right? Looking at this pair, this is a pair that you're going to trade anytime we have CAD news and you want to remove the US dollar from it. So again, tomorrow for its rate cut, right? We have the trade balance. You can trade this pair as well as the BOC rate statement and the overnight. Okay, those are potential setups for this pair. Now, looking at the 4 hour, where are their big pops? Well, there's a big pop down here. Okay, the last big pop is really up here, up at 83.38. Now, that would require an 80 pip move. I think that'd be a bit much. Yeah, I mean, the ATR is 65, so an 83 pip move would be a bit much to get up there on a news spike. I don't know that we're going to be able to, unless it's earth-shattering or they do a surprise rate cut, it's not jumping that far. And if it is a surprise rate cut, I'm not going to be as willing to take that one for a retest, just because, again, that is a fundamental change that happened in the market. So you always need to be a little bit more careful on those, okay? Again, like I said, this is a this is a news-based trade only. I'm not going to really trade this one for anything else. So let's look at the Aussie pairs real quick just to see what we're looking at. Yeah. See how it's starting to pull back. It's not really giving you that explosive movement. It's found a couple buyers down there, but so far this zone has been holding pretty well. And again, you got to kind of watch out for that. I wouldn't be surprised if it came back down again. Again, that same 14 pips that you got, James, it looks like there's the potential to take them to the downside as well. Looking at, let's see, check the Aussie New Zealand out. This one really moves even less. Again, you got a little bit of that spike down, a little bit of spike up. Nothing crazy in that one. Again, most of this move has already happened. So a little spike above, and again, it went right to the dotted line. You guys see we had the target talking about this zone up here. That was the origin of this big move. So yeah, so I left money on the table, but again, who knew that news was going to be in our favor? It's not worth risking all this for just that. But yeah, so there was the event. It did hit its eventual target. Okay, at the end of the day, it didn't make any difference whatsoever. But you'll see it's already starting to pull back. Let's drop this down to 5 minutes. Yeah, see what we're going there. We already got a red. Green attempted to go higher, and we'll see if it kind of pushes back down. But there was your target. All right. So similar kind of reversal in the other two pairs. All right, so let's see. With that being said, it is 9:56. Let's see how many people. Remember, guys, we have only 6 people in right now. It looks like we have people that are not fully attached today. Remember, exclamation point and new ticket. Make sure everybody is in. I don't see Ryan on here. I know Ryan is trying to snipe this thing at the very, very end. And I think that's it. You guys have 30 seconds, Ryan, to get in on this one. Ryan wants to be the last one because that's how he does it. All right, here we go, Ryan. You got 20 seconds. 13 seconds. 12. 10. There you go. He snuck right in. Here's the last one. All right, closing the giveaway down in 3, 2, 1. And let's see. Draw the winner. Josh. Josh, you haven't won one for a while. All right, let's go over to loyalty. Let's get Josh his 25. Oops, not that one. Where is Josh? There he goes. Josh is all the way down here. Josh lost some. He got into some crazy betting on one of those things before. All right, there you go. Josh is moving back up in the 86 range. So, all right, guys. So with that being said, a couple minutes early tonight. Again, the news release is kind of a flop, but I think tomorrow morning will give us some good opportunity. Being able to dive in on the CAD trade balance, and obviously the rate statements tomorrow for CAD I think are important. And definitely watch out for that pound data at 9:15 tomorrow morning. I think that'll be a good one. All right. So with that being said, guys, you take care. Have a good night. Cross your fingers for me. Hopefully the baby is not up tonight and I'll be able to sleep. And yeah, take care. Everybody make sure you go put a like on that funnel cake sandwich. So take care, Barbie girl. Yeah, she's so dark haired. I don't know if I could call her that. But yeah, she's not happy. All right, guys. I will catch you later. You guys take care.